Hello, guys. Welcome back to Series 3. I've been practicing and remembering to say Series 3 rather than 2 of the Delegate Wranglers live show. Thank you so much for joining us again. We are back, and guess who I found who's going to be joining us again? A little fella you might know called Dom. Hello. Dom. How are you?
I'm back, Neil.
How was your 6-month holiday?
Well, as you can tell from my tan, it's worked out really well for me, right?
I was going to say, but no. How are you feeling, though, Dom? You're fine now, fighting fit.
I am fighting fit. I'm back training. I am back sunbathing. I just can't remember anything, and that's about as bad as it gets. So I can't really complain too much.
Dom, I've been using that excuse for years with Diane.
And hey, look, you just did your 22-year anniversary, so something's working.
Well, she deserves a medal. That's all I'll say. So, we are here with a fantastic set of masterclasses. There's going to be at least 8 in this season. Could be 2 more. We're just working. We've got some great content for you guys coming up, and we're going to show you a slide at the end. With some details of all the different things coming up, well, certainly in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But today we are kicking off with a sustainability masterclass from Anna Abdelnoor of Isla. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be, talking all things sustainable. I'm going to be learning a lot because it's a subject I could definitely do with knowing more about. So I don't know about you, Dom, but definitely I could do with knowing some more.
Do you know, I've seen this in various clubhouse chats. I've seen it in various conversations in other part of the internet while I have been off, and it's still not something I've actually paid too much attention to. So I'm really, really looking forward to this because it's coming up more and more.
Absolutely. So we've got a few people watching in the chat room on Facebook. But as usual, we're live on Facebook and on our YouTube channel as well. So a big warm hello to everybody there, especially in YouTube as well. Here's some of our social media handles. You can just follow us. If you just basically search for the Delegate Wranglers on any of these, you'll find us, unless somebody's ripping us off.
Well, we hope we're not. But Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere, just search at the Delegate Wranglers and you will find Neil's channels, as well as all of the content from previous shows, of which there are, I think, about 45 or 46, aren't there?
More, 50 odd now.
Are there? It's a lot, I know that much.
Only 40 odd when you were here, I think.
Thank you, mate.
That's all right, you're welcome. So, as Dom said, lots of content for you to grab there, guys, and this is the point we started these so that we could upskill and people could learn a bit, and also be a bit entertaining, get together, have a chat, a bit of community spirit, the whole lot really. So this season we are going to be sponsored by Q Callum with the slide. The Delegate Wranglers Superstars. I don't know if we've got the slide ready to go, maybe we haven't. But we are going to be sponsoring that and telling you what you guys all about it. So look out for more information from us in a bit. Dom's looking worried there as if he doesn't know if the slide's ready. But there you go, technical problems. It is the first show.
I'm just looking up and I saw the sponsor's logo appear at the top, but I don't think Callum's got the slide ready.
That could be my fault.
Yeah, probably I don't know.
Is. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to be talking to Anna in a second, and then we're going to be telling you about what's coming up on the show, shows in the next few weeks as well. So, Dom, who have we got in the chat room? Just a few people at the moment I can see.
I'm just looking at Facebook, if you've got YouTube covered. A couple of names that immediately spring out to me, and it's really nice to see them. Felicity Berry, very nice to see you back here. Thanks for the welcome back. Laura Capalabra, nice to see you here too. Liz Madden, she's saying hi, everybody. And Paul Butterworth is watching. Paul, we need to catch up. It's been a very long time, my friend. I hope you're well. And let's catch up soon. As always, leave a comment in the chat and we'll come to you very shortly.
Same to you guys on LinkedIn as well. Please send in any questions or leave a chat or a comment or anything, and we'll get through as many as we can. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce the wonderful Anna. Anna, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, did you have a nice bank holiday?
I'm loving the sun. Yes.
Did you have a nice bank holiday? Yes. Yeah.
I just, it's been a long time without sun, it feels like. So it's,
I think
brings
we've all
a whole
felt
new
that.
meaning to
Whereabouts
life.
are you, Anna?
Yeah, apart from you, Dom. Your tan's looking cracking.
Honestly, I said to Neil earlier, it was an absolute schoolboy error to lie in the garden yesterday afternoon with very little suntan lotion on, and knowing that I was coming back on the show, I'm just glowing.
Yeah, you're like, I'm coming back on the show. I'm actually just going to whack on some fake tan.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking a little bit orange. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, left his oven open and everything in the kitchen.
Yeah,
top it off.
It's healthy, right? It's good for you.
Yeah, well, so you know what? You deserve it. If you've had COVID,
he's had a tough time. Yeah,
Thanks.
He's had a tough time. So. Yeah, Anna, so obviously we're going to be talking about, touching on some of the aspects of sustainability. I know it's like a massive, massive subject, but do you want to give us a very quick intro about yourself and about Isla, and then also what sustainability means to you? Because it does mean, I think people interpret it in different ways. So I'd love to know your take on it.
So, Isla, me, who am I? So my background is actually as an event producer. I worked freelance for 5 years or so, mostly in agencies, big projects, global projects. Love it, absolutely love producing events, but hit a wall maybe, a long time ago. 2020 is a write-off, but hit a wall back in 2019 on a project I was on because, the client really wanted to be sustainable and they had great ambitions, but it wasn't translatable into the events context because there wasn't really any resources or any real support or guidance or, knowledge amongst the team necessarily about what sustainability meant, and realised that it's such an important topic. It's kind of like the issue of our generation. What we do in the next 10 years is going to affect realistically the next 10,000, if we're totally honest. And so got together basically with some of the brilliant leaders of 12 agencies back in November 2019, I think it was, November or December, just to have a conversation about what we could do and essentially the concept of IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, which basically talks about radical collaboration cross-sector is kind of how we're going to solve the climate crisis. And so that's what the experts are telling us to do. Let's do that. That seems like a good idea. So at the time, pre-COVID, getting 12 kind of competing agencies around the table together was, a real feat, a real achievement. But across the board, everybody was really up for the idea of pooling resources, pooling knowledge, and so that's where it was all born from. So we actually launched in September last year, so that was an interesting time to essentially launch, something in the middle of events being shut down. But it was also around that whole time of the narrative around building back greener, building back better. This was kind of our downtime in a way to reassess and review rather than just reverting back to how things have always been. We need to kind of elevate beyond that and do better as we return to life. So,
and I guess this subject has come probably more to the fore because the conversation has changed as a result of working from home and not having to travel. There's been a lot more conversation about it simply because people have found ways around that need to travel.
Yeah, I think, as event professionals, we all want to get back to live, live events is why we're in it. It's the people, it's the buzz, it's seeing something that you've been working on really, really come to life. And so the narrative around sustainability is not about not having live events, but it's about having smarter, more strategic events that enable us to talk to multiple audiences, to, take the learnings and the reach and the benefits of virtual and use that to elevate what we're doing in the live perspective rather than necessarily needing to bring 2,500 people into one location. How can we plan smarter? How can we reach audiences a different way? So it's really about, we're creative problem solvers. That's what we do in the event sector. That's who we are. So it's about using all of that brilliant knowledge and experience and brains and passion to shape things differently moving forward.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting time. Very interesting time. And obviously launching in September. Did you say you launched in September?
Yeah, well, we were due to launch in April 2020.
Okay.
We were due to launch the 1st of April, although not a great date, but with April Fools, but due to launch the 1st of April. And then I think it was like 12 days beforehand we went into lockdown, or there was talks about, I can't quite remember. I think it was MWC was cancelled, and that was sort of like the beginning of the end for events.
I think we all have our marker. Yeah. I think we all have our marker when something was cancelled, and it was the beginning of the end for everything.
yeah, that's fair enough. So we were due to launch in April, so we had like we were ready to go. But we, it's about reading the room, isn't it? Sensitivity to everything that was going on. But a few months later, it was still a pressing issue, just because events had ceased for the time being in a live format. Didn't change the fact that from a climate perspective, we still needed to have a resolution. And obviously, we were all hoping that events would be back by October. That would be just down for 3 months.
Still be back in October.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So we went wrong.
I know. So Anna, I know you've got some slides and things to run through with us as well, and to give us, teach us some good things and some things to think about. So really looking forward to them.
Yeah, so I think that kind of comes onto this question you asked, sort of what is sustainability? What does sustainability mean to me? And I think actually, it's about how can we think sustainably, and what does that really mean? And that comes down to kind of how we can start strategizing. So remind me how to share my screen. Does that happen automatically?
You're already sharing your screen. You're already sharing your screen. You've just got to control your slides. There we go.
Great. Okay, there we go. So just in terms of this is kind of the crux of it really is about sustainability is a work stream. It's kind of, we need to start thinking about it in the same way that we think about our budgets, that we think about health and safety, that we think about the design, the creativity, and the kind of running order and schedules and all the production, logistics, etc. Sustainability is just another work stream that we can add on or embed, as it were. And it doesn't need to be like a scary thing that we're doing. There's so much that we have control over in the first instance. So I just kind of wanted to talk about the idea of kind of how we strategize around sustainability. If it clicks. Yeah, great. So it's kind of ultimately sustainability needs to become part of our strategy. It needs to become part of the way we think, part of our norm, and it needs to be that across the board. So we've created a framework that we're launching later this month in June called Proceed. And this talks to a lot about the framework, but I'm not here to talk about Proceed specifically today. But it's all about how we look at our policies, how we create plans as a result of that, and then how we put our ambitions into practice. So this kind of like 3P mentality: policies, plans, and practices. So what do we mean when we talk about policies? It's really about how we define sustainability and then refine our position as part of that. So what does sustainability mean to your team? What does it mean to your organization? What is it for you? Because for some people it's just about environment. For some people it's the idea of economic, social, and planetary sustainability, in balance. For some people it talks to the social values of sustainability. It's going to mean different things for different people, but really being able to define it and understand what it means to your team and your organization, and also what it means to your clients or to your stakeholders. So if you're in an agency, what are your clients, what's important to them? What are their policies? What is their CSR or their ESG? Where's that coming from? How does that tie into the way that you consider sustainability? And again, if you're in the supply chain, the agencies that you might be working with, or if you're working direct within house or brands, again, it's really about understanding your client's position on it as well. And then once you've kind of got that definition, being able to refine your position, which is where your policy comes into it. So do you have one single sustainability policy? Do you have a waste policy because you do a lot of building? Do you have a travel policy because, as an organization, you do a lot of travel as a result of it? It's about refining your position and understanding where you've got control to really move your ambition forward and where you can influence that. So for example, control and influence talks to the idea of, I can't force my client to make a certain decision. I can't make that decision for them. I don't have control over that, but I can influence how they do that. I can put sustainability propositions into a budget. I can put the most sustainable solution first as a priority and decide not to show a non-sustainable solution, for example, unless it's asked for. There's ways around assessing how you might approach it. But once you've kind of defined sustainability to kind of create your policies and refined your position, it makes it a lot easier to kind of go into this planning stage. So policies are operational, organizational approaches, and plans are event specific. What is your ambition for this event, and how does that tie into your policy? Because if you've got a position, if you've got a statement saying we are going to, measure and carbon balance all of our travel, for example, then how are you actually making sure that happens across your event? Because your policies and your plans have to talk to each other. And then it comes into explaining what is it needed to make this a reality. If we're going to carbon balance all of our travel emissions as an agency, or from our crew, or in-house to get to this event, how do we actually do that? Well, we're going to need to measure that, aren't we? We're going to need to know what people's travel methods are and how far they've come from, so we can measure it. So the plan is really like detailing how you're going to put those ambitions into practice, which leads on to the kind of next point around how you're doing it. You said you're going to measure all the travel emissions from crew, for example. How are you going to do that? Or we're going to put it into tenders that crew have to submit information, or we're going to put it into sign-in sheets. Every day a crew comes and signs in. We're going to get their start postcode and the method of travel. Like, that's the how, that's the practice, right? And then reporting on how you've done it. We said we were going to do this thing. This is how we're going to do it. And post-event, how have you done it? So really it talks to that idea of plan is your overarching ambition, your overarching operational or organizational ambition, sustainability. Your plans are event specific and they should reflect that organizational position. Then your practices are actually doing it, putting it into practice. And that's what we do when we go live, when we start building an event. That's our practice. That's our months of planning in action. So really it's that kind of framework around that.
Anna, you may cover this later on, so forgive if I've preempted slightly, but are there good organisations to carbon offset through? Are there people that are good to do that through, or can you just do a Google search and pick any of them?
So it's difficult. Carbon balancing gets such a bad rep. Yeah. I think a lot of the time, and justifiably, because it is it's a way of paying it forward, or like investing in the future. What is not to love about protecting rainforests or planting trees, or protecting oceans, or whatever it is. All those things are brilliant things to do, but they're not actually going to solve the climate crisis. We have to be reducing our carbon emissions. That's the reality. So carbon balancing is kind of a way out, is not a recommendation. It doesn't work in silo. It's part of a wider suite of tools, and one of those tools is reduction. But we have an informal partnership with a company called Equilibrium. If you type in Equilibrium, like equilibrium, but with eco, play on words, they can support you through carbon balancing your travel emissions. They're a brilliant organisation. They were founded by a group of people from the festival sector who have spent a long time trying to support sustainability in the festival industry, and providing solutions and so on. And they're brilliant. So there's a really nice tie-in from the events world into Equilibrium. Feel like you're supporting the industry as well as supporting the planet. So I can recommend them.
And I've got a quick question for you. You mentioned at the beginning about speaking to your, organisations to have a policy, about this. What happens when people are at an organisation and they haven't got a policy, and it's a bit difficult to get it through? Is that where they come and work with people like yourself?
Yeah, so we've got, at Isla, we have various different resources to support people depending on where they are in their journey and what kind of organisation they are and how they're working. So through membership, one of the things that we do is a bit of a deep dive with people. We have an onboarding session where we find out where you are, what kind of position you're in. It's a bit of a review of your progress to date, and then we can pull together an action plan based on where you are. And a lot of the recommendations are things that you can do in-house, but depending on what your ambitions are as well, we can recommend outwardly, whether that's working with us or one of our recommended partners, for example. Talking to, if people don't have a policy, that comes to one of the resources that we're releasing later this year. Later this month, actually, Proceed, which I mentioned previously.
Which you're not talking about today.
We're not talking about today, no, because we're doing kind of the Sustainability Masterclass. Otherwise, I could spend 45 minutes just talking to you about Proceed. But we're launching that at Convex on the 23rd of June. And you will be able to download template policies and template event plans for sustainability that will suit wherever you are in your journey. If you're right at the beginning, it tells you, here you go. And if you're partway down, it helps support that or elevate that or kind of help take you on to the next step. So that's the key thing, is that people are sort of like, we know we need to be doing stuff, but what do we actually need to do? So that's the whole point about being an action-focused organisation.
I was just going to say, that sounds super, super useful. And, you know, some people, I guess, just don't know where to start with it. They know they want to be doing something, or they want to be doing something more. So I guess that'll be ideal for them, because no matter what level you're at, you can pick it up.
Yeah. Proceed is essentially a universal framework for sustainable events. It means it's a system, it's a framework and its approach that should be and can be used by anybody, no matter where you are in the supply chain. So whether you are, you know, a caterer or a fabricator, or right up to a brand that's got, you know, a 5-year event program, for example, it can help you think about the way that you are strategizing and prioritizing sustainability. And again, that strategy comes down to operational, organizational, event specific, and then in action. And it looks at how you do that across your design, your delivery, your debrief, which is around how you set your priorities out. And you know, the templates that we're producing, they help you, like, we've got a sort of a basic, better, best model to help you wherever you are in your journey. So yeah, Isla is all about being able to translate ambitions into actions, because that's what we need to do.
I've just seen a comment in the chat from Tom saying, template event plans. I love the sound of that. Make it easy for people and make it modular. Excellent.
We all love a template.
Yeah, great.
Who doesn't
well,
love
that's
a template?
the thing, is like, you know, no one wants to have to sit down and write a plan. You know, that's why you got companies doing like COVID safety plans and health and safety plans, and, you know, you bring someone into your RAM. So, and because events are, sustainability at the moment is really quite mystical. There are loads of terms that people don't necessarily understand. And what does it even mean to start the sustainability journey or to accelerate your sustainability journey? So I think that's one of the key things. Again, it comes down to that action, being able to take action and demonstrate that is the really, really important part.
You know what, Anna, I guess some people, you know, probably hold themselves back because they think, well, we haven't got the budget and to do this, but surely just doing anything is better than doing nothing, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we do. So we have 3 training modules at Isla, which kind of talks to a lot of this. But one of the key things in our training is showing people how much you can do that doesn't even touch the budget.
Yeah,
it's around that kind of control and influence perspective that we talked about in terms of how we kind of strategize, understanding what you can do with the resources that you do have and the knowledge and experience that we already have that doesn't necessarily even have to hit the budget. And then if you've got a client that ultimately wants sustainable solutions, to have those conversations with them in such a way that the budget can be found if it is actually of importance for items that take it over to the next step. So it's all about.
We've got another long comment in the chat there, Dom. I don't know if you want to.
What, the one from Veronica?
Pass it over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, many thanks, Anna, for sharing practical insights about how event organisers can embed sustainability instead of treating it as an add-on. And I think actually it's really important, embedding it instead of adding it on. My 3 pillars for sustainability focus on social, environmental and economic, people, planet, profits. Mm-hmm. Do also, like your P's, focused on strategy around policies, plans and profits. And she's given a useful resource for SMEs to understand the road to net zero, what it means, and reducing carbon emissions, which is the smeclimatehub.org/UK, which we've had a couple of links already. I'm going to try and get Callum to get them on the screen for us, just for anyone that's watching.
Yeah, the SME Climate Hub is really useful, because I think a lot of the resources available from the corporate world are, you know, the Nestle's and the Unilevers and you know, massive organizations that are recruiting chief sustainability officers to go with their CTOs and CFOs and whatever, you know, your entire suite group. But actually lots of events businesses are SMEs, and one of the trouble around events is that they're so diverse in terms of the scope. You might deliver a round table versus a 10,000 person exhibition within the same organization within the same month, you know. And so from where do you take sustainability? What's your responsibility? Where does it sit for you? And I think that's one of the things that we recognize is really missing, is that there's lots of resources or guidance and things available for businesses that sell a specific service or sell a specific product. But when it comes to someone that sells an event service, like planning, it's so complicated to try and understand where the responsibility sits. And that's one of the things that we aim to try and do throughout our training, through the resources that we've developed, about, that it actually, we all need to be in this together, because we're such a hidden industry, as COVID has really demonstrated. Yeah. It's that sort of thing of like when you get your car insurance, event manager, that's not a thing. What about event planner? No, I'm a wedding planner. Marketing. And that's my option if I'm coming into
marketing. Everything's marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what it comes back to, right? It just makes it so difficult that's why we're here, to shape the resources and shape the support specifically to the events industry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so
Neil, just before you go on, we're just sticking the Equilibrium URL on. It's going across the bottom of the screens now for people, and in just a second we're going to put the one up for the SME Carbon Hub, I think it was. So that will come up shortly for anyone that wants to watch it.
I tell you what, we're getting a bit fancy, aren't we, with all these scrolling things?
And we are isla.co.uk to find out more about how Isla can support you.
We'll do that.
Don't worry, we've got you covered, Anna.
Great.
We got you covered at the end. We'll make sure everything goes up. We do a thing called a wrap up, where we post up what's happened in the show. So any links then. So this is the point in the show where we normally would do the DW live show panel, but for a number of reasons we haven't got it together for you to bring you this week.
How many reasons? How many reasons, Neil?
One, and it's my fault. So I'm really sorry about that. And any of the guys who have sent them in, or you're about to send them in, please do so, and we'll get them on there next week. And anybody who wants to get involved in it, we just ask the panel a question every week, and they come back to us with a little video answer. It can be funny, can be entertaining, can be how do we describe Jan's? Hilarious. I don't know, many things. So we will be back with that next week, guys.
We will,
as well as other bits as well that we're working on. So Anna,
should I just say hi to a couple of people quickly?
Oh yeah, sure.
We had a couple of late joiners, Jan being one of them, and Anika, the longest standing viewer of all of the DW live shows. Anika, lovely to have you joining us.
She's done more than me.
I think she has. She's certainly done more than I have. And also,
everybody has.
And also to Chrissy, who has just messaged me privately to say hi. Chrissy, I will message you afterwards, but thank you for your message. It's lovely to see you're there.
Yeah, great to see you. And I've got another question for you on YouTube, which I'll ask you in a second, Anna, but I'll let you continue with your masterclass for now, because it's a meaty question.
Okay, well, if it's meaty, let's go for it. I think, I can take you through, I can't actually remember what's next on my slides. But,
go on, click on it, there you go.
Yeah, go on, rethinking, refusing, resign. So this is, once you've kind of got your policies and your plans your policies really into place, rethinking, refusing, redesigning is kind of the first step on the zero waste hierarchy, which is something that we talk about in training. We can go away and Google zero waste hierarchy, but it's a really, really brilliant concept to take forward around how you think about sustainability. And so rethink, refusing, redesign, should kind of be part of your planning, part of your proposal stage. Maybe you're doing a pitch, maybe you have got a client that you work with regularly and they just put something in front of you and want you to deliver it. Rethinking, refusing, redesigning is one of the core things that we can employ as a tool to support our sustainability ambitions. So it's all about asking the question, do we need it? And that might be, do we need a physical asset, right through to, do we need a physical show? Could we do this in a different way? Could we run a hybrid event? Could we run a virtual event? Could we run a road show rather than bringing 5,000 people in? How can we take this out? It's about rethinking the way that we approach events. And COVID has been brilliant for helping us do that, because we realized that there are so many different tools at our fingertips that we can use to elevate what we're doing. But kind of once we've asked that question, do we need it? There's this idea of being able to politely refuse, as it were, as the best word, to keep it in the 3 R's, but essentially, actually, you, client, want to do X, Y, and Z, and we think the best way to communicate your message or engage your audience would actually be to do A, B, and C, because, and here's why, it's about communicating. You're talking about wanting to have a 5,000 person event, but actually, why don't we do a 2,000 person event? We get to reduce travel footprint from that perspective, and actually we get to beam this into people's homes or offices, direct to their computers, and give them the opportunity to still get the same value and the same quality and the same information out of this, but delivered in a slightly different format that not only helps reduce travel and carbon and waste footprint, etc., but gives an opportunity to an audience that might not want to travel. That it's all about kind of why not, and it goes from that hybrid perspective right through to whether or not we need to buy a new sofa for our fireside chats, or whether we can use something that we've got in storage, for example. All these sorts of questions that we've got.
Yeah.
But refusing then leads us into this kind of idea of around kind of redesigning. Can we do it differently? Can we do it with less resource? Can we do it so that we can use this set again? Can we use these graphics again in a different way? Can we design it with different materials that can be recycled and have a recycling plan? Can we do a different event format and so on? And that pushes us back into that kind of rethink perspective. And, rethinking, refusing, redesigning is the first step on the zero waste hierarchy, but it's also the first idea that we need to employ to take us towards a circular economy, which is the idea about moving away from a linear take, make, waste system to one that keeps materials and resources in production as long as possible. So,
you know what, Anna, if I could just jump in there as well. Something I think is really important as well is that it's important for event organisers to have these tools and these skills and this attitude, because more and more clients are coming to them now saying, we want to do something sustainable, or we want to work at a sustainable venue, or whatever it is. So I think all this stuff's really useful now. It's not useful, necessary. You absolutely have to have it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that clients are people. They're me and they're you, and they're people listening right now and watching what's going on. They're human beings that have got an objective. This is my job and I need to do these specific things. And that means that they need support as well. If they've got something coming down from on high regarding their corporate sustainability responsibilities or their ESG, or they've got sustainability objectives, they want help to know how to deliver that. And I think that's one of the key things, is about saying, right, okay, well, let's collaboratively look at this together. What's your organizational or operational position, and what's our position on this? What is the policy? What is it that we need to try and achieve? So how do we rethink the brief? How do we change the brief maybe to better suit those objectives, while still having a really positive impact, while still being a meaningful, exciting event where we're able to communicate our messaging out. So
the earlier you can do that, the earlier you can do it, the better, I guess, as well.
Yeah, it all has to come before you've signed off the design and signed off the budget. It's all about tabling sustainability in the same way that you would table that creative solution. So when you're putting something in front of someone and saying, it's going to look like this and we're going to do this, it's about, it's going to look like this because it means that actually we can reuse it for that event you've got in 6 months' time. Saving you budget, saving the planet, all those positive things. So it's about working in partnership, clients and stakeholders. If you're in-house, it should be kind of putting that to your roster of agencies or organizations that you're working with. How can you help us take our plans forward over time, not just look at a single event, for example, and creating those longer term relationships. I think that's one of the things about COVID as well, is about the need for agility and adaptability. Having those longer term relationships with organizations, with agencies, with suppliers, with venues who you're working with, it kind of allow for rapid change as needed, because everybody's got a longer view of what's going on. So it's all starting at the beginning. Yes. So I've got a couple more slides I can bring up, but you said you've got some questions. So what do you want to do?
Go with your question, Neil, because you had your question. Let's go with that one.
Yeah, you said it was a meaty one.
So here we go. I'm just reading this from YouTube, so excuse me. So someone called MTR, I don't know who that is. I'm trying to understand about Isla's value proposition, and you've got two questions. One of them, what's the differential of the Isla framework in relation to many other companies, as in Agreeing a Festival or Julie's Bicycle? So that was one question. talking about your value proposition. And the next one was, how do you define and measure performance and sustainability of an event in relation to a determined policy? How do you set targets and stuff like that? So there you go. Told you they were meaty.
Okay. So in answer to the first question, so A Greener Festival and Julie's Bicycles are both fantastic organisations. So Julie's Bicycle works more in culture and arts-based events, right. And A Greener Festival more based festivals, as the name is entitled, and also outdoor events. And so Isla looks really at the corporate events, so our exhibitions, road shows, conferences, and it does look at experiential marketing and so on, but it's much more of a corporate angle, because festivals are entirely different beasts from exhibitions ultimately. One, because festivals have a complete different ownership structure as well, but essentially we tackle the corporate side of things. So hopefully that answers that first question. In terms of measurability, that's what Proceed helps you do that. Proceed helps you track, because of the way that those templates and plans and the guidance and the support and the framework is set up. So there's some organic methodologies built into Proceed, but we also have carbon measurement software called Trace, which is being released a little bit later this year. And Trace is, it measures carbon and waste across your full event delivery. So you can measure guest travel, you can measure crew travel, transportation, the food that you're serving, the materials that you're using, graphic, the whole shebang. And you can measure as much or as little as you want to using the web app. But essentially, as we're able to start collecting data in there, the reality is that you can't manage what you don't measure. And so, your first event, you're probably not going to be able to set objectives for reducing by X or Y unless you've previously gone away and done measurement around that.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, surely there is a period of learning before you can even get to that, which is to understand where you're at now. And if you're running several events, you're not going to get that from one. You need to measure that over a number before you can even get a baseline. Yeah,
exactly. So the software that we've developed, basically you can amalgamate all your data in one view. So in the dashboard, you input your information. I've done this, this, and this, and here's my carbon report and my waste report for this specific event. As you start using the tool more, you can start collating that information into one space. So actually, these are the 15 events that we've run, and 20% of them were conferences, 10% of them were dinners, and 70% of them were exhibitions, for example. And then you can start looking at your impact in different areas. Actually, I don't know, you might turn out that your dinners are only 10% of the work that you're doing, and they're only producing 1% of your carbon footprint across the whole thing. And so actually you're not going to focus your attention there. Or it might be that dinners account for 10% of your events, but they're producing 95% of your emissions. And so actually you really need to be targeting in that area. And then you can start, the more you use it, building it out based on type of event, based on budget per person. We need to move forward globally into this concept of carbon budgeting, because we have a budget. We know that there's a finite amount of carbon that we can put into the atmosphere before we tip ourselves over the edge. And so carbon budgeting is going to be as big a deal, I believe, in the next few years as financial budgeting. And there's all kinds of legislations coming into place. 2023, 2024, we're going to be looking at completely different legislation around waste, how waste is collected and how waste is managed and recycled. Government's going through consultations about it at the moment. It's coming. Let's get ahead on the sustainability game rather than being in the IR35 position that everybody found themselves in a couple of years ago with what does it mean and how do I deal with it? It's all about
it's definitely more in the conversation, now, isn't it? Sustainability, you're always hearing about green zones in cities. I know I was at a conference last week at Millennium Point, and they were talking about that. There's one being introduced to Birmingham, an emission zone kind of, where you can only go in with certain cars, or you have to pay to be in there and stuff like that. So I had a question for you about, from me, about doing this as well for firms as well that do this. It's good. It's also good for the visibility of what they're actually doing and taking action. And isn't it? I know that's not the reason people do it. They're doing it for the right reasons, but there is that as well. It's another stamp that they can use.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, is that actually change happens really slowly, and then once it snowballs, right? Is that you get one company or two companies doing something and being a bit of an outlier, and then that shapes the way for more people to be able to pick it up. behaviors change when you can see other people doing it. That's why we all put our litter in the bin, because we learned as kids to put our litter in the bin rather than just chucking it, because everybody was putting it in the bin. And so that's how we learn in many ways. And so with sustainability, it becomes this, optics is really important. Action is more important, but it's seeing that action in progress that is going to encourage other people to do things. And events, you talked about it, they're opportunities for marketing, right? We have such an incredible reach as event organisers, as an industry. We touch every sector in the world, whether that is government or travel or oil, heaven forbid, through to selling trainers or phones, right? So we're talking to every sector. We're talking to people of all shapes and sizes, ages, genders. It's one of those things where we've got this incredible opportunity to educate and support people, and brands and in-house or corporates have an opportunity to use their events to create climate positive messaging, to promote climate positive behaviors, to reduce their travel footprint, not just by running a virtual event, but by saying, hey, you know what, we're doing this event in Barcelona and we've got a European audience. Let's bring back the romance of travel. Let's talk to people about how they can take the train and where they can stop off on their journey and what experiences they can have in those places. So instead of flying somewhere for a 4-hour conference and then flying back on the same day, take a couple of days. You can work on the train. We've picked out the 10 best shows that are on tonight in Barcelona, or the 5 best restaurants for you to go and visit. It's all that sort of thing about, once you put somebody in a dark room and turn the lights off, they could be anywhere. So how do we create these experiences that actually we know that sight, smell, sound, touch, the sensory experiences help solidify things for people. So how can we, you'll remember that event more if you remember everything around it, as everything's part of it, a really lovely experience.
I was just going to say that. You know what, Anna, I was just going to say as well, I think organisers and clients and venues have got this massive opportunity to really have an influence on the people that are going to attending those events as well.
Yeah.
And to do with their behavior and the way they do things, and to make them see that they're doing these things. And then the people walk away and go, you know what, the way they did this was brilliant. They recycled that, or everything they used there was, or whatever it is. I think they've got a real opportunity. We have as an industry to really touch many people outside of the industry, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's exciting. And I think we should see that as an opportunity. Sustainability, moving the dial forward on sustainability is exciting. Humans out of difficult times come up with incredible solutions and find amazing ways to innovate. And yes, we also need to reduce our carbon footprint, but we can do that in an innovative way, and also by looking back and learning from the past and bringing in experience and what worked before and how can we take that forward. It should be exciting. It shouldn't feel, and I think it can often feel overwhelming and feel like a chore, but actually, who doesn't want a cleaner airs and less busy roads and more purposeful experiences and all those kinds of things? I go to events, I'm an event consumer as well as an event planner. So what do I want to see? How do I want to experience my show? Do I want to be sitting in, I don't know, do I want to travel to an airport and spend 4 hours queuing up and buying a sandwich from Pret and jumping on a plane and getting all gummy with other people's breath? That's how I think about flying. No, but it's about kind of, what do I want to see and how do I want the future as well, and understanding that audience in such a way and kind of creating those meaningful experiences and seeing it as opportunity, not seeing it as a burden.
I'm just going to jump in because there's been a couple of comments while you've been talking there. The first from Tom Morley. Again, Tom, and I didn't say just now, I hope you're feeling better. I saw a post that you weren't feeling too well last week, so I hope you're feeling better today, my friend. I'm so grateful for this conversation. I've been feeling like Billy No Mates, thinking about all the possibilities. And I think what's come out in the last couple of minutes alone is there are a huge amount of possibilities. And he also picked up on the on your comment, Anna, a snowball that rolls around every sector promoting the romance of travel. Love it. And I think that was echoed by a few other people as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that, sorry, Neil,
go on.
If you think about kind of the dialogues that you're having with your friends and with your families and with people in your circle about kind of what's come out of the last year and a half, what have you enjoyed? What is it that there's been a lot of crap. It's been hard.
Yeah.
I've not enjoyed January. It was a terrible month, you know, but at the same time, over the last year, I've had more time to myself. I've had more time to do the things that I enjoy doing. I've had more time to invest in the relationships that are important to me. And we're all having these conversations. We're all having conversations about what's more meaningful, but then reverting almost into a kind of work mind of, but this is how things have always been done. And bringing that into the conversation. And actually what we should be doing is thinking a bit more excitedly and having these more open and honest conversations, saying, do you know what, I want to do something differently. Why don't we do something differently? What are you thinking about that? How do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Do you want to do X and Y like we've always done? Or do you want to, you know, and I think once we start having these conversations, we realize how many people are aligned in that way of thinking as well.
You know what,
and it's totally
agree. I totally agree, Anna.
And it's not about, again, sorry,
go on,
there's a little lag on mine.
It's all right. I totally agree. I mean, things like, you know, going for a walking meeting or whatever, you know, rather than going to an office to have a meeting and, you know, just go out and be outside. And I know for a fact that I think we're in quite good hands, because I know I'm constantly getting told off by my children about, you know, doing things more sustainably. And, you know, they seem to be really knowledgeable, more so than my age group. I know I'm only mid-20s, but I'm lying there, by the way.
Yeah, see, I seem to know a lot more, just being that little bit younger, Neil.
But you know what I mean, Anna? The youth, the younger people, I think they are quite up on it. I don't know if that's your understanding as well. It seems to be, to me.
Yeah, there's a completely different narrative amongst like millennials and Gen Z and I mean, the younger people. But there's a lot. Oh God, I could go off on one, so I'll be careful not to extend my time. But I mean, Gen Z are making statements about who they will and won't work with based on their kind of position on social, cultural, and environmental topics. And we are, you know, people are coming up into more senior leadership positions that have carried this forward, and actually, we're in really great hands for the generations that are going to come after us, but we need to safeguard what they have and to make sure that their ambitions and their hopes aren't completely dashed when they get to where we are in 10 years time and think, oh, I can't say that word on Facebook Live because it's rude, but you know, sugar, honey, nice tea. We really dropped the ball on this one. So I think we have a Isla, kind of the reason part of the conversation started is because I was watching Greta speak at, I think it was WEF, possibly the World Economic Forum, and she was saying, you adults, and I was like, those adults, they're not doing anything. And I suddenly was like, oh my God, I'm an adult to her. I might feel like, you know, a 13-year-old girl most of the time in my mind, but actually I'm an adult. She's talking to me, and it's about doing what we can where we can. And I think it's exciting personally, you know. Yeah. I think it's.
I've got one last question for you, because I know we're running out of time. But one last subject matter that is a difficult one for the event industry is food. Waste food is a big thing at conferences. You know, we talked about it at the conference it was at last week. It's such a difficult thing to get right, and is there any kind of tips or advice or things you've learned about the food side of, you know, with regards to sustainability? Pre-order as much as you possibly can. That goes for crew food as well as guest food. If you know what people want and you've got that on their badge in some way, then they can't have a little tanty about it if they get to the head of the queue and decide they want vegetarian. Seasonal, regional menus, looking for what is actually available in season, what is available within the region that you're working in, what has been a good harvest this year from a plant-based perspective, and go for, you know, foods that are in, you know, gluts of food. We've got loads of cauliflowers, for example. Let's do something with cauliflower. Route to shoot principles. Speak to your caterer about using as much of produce as possible. If you're doing carrots and they've got tops on them, make carrot top pesto. Don't throw away the greens. Those sorts of things. Skin on chips. Don't go for buffets. Buffets are massive food waste. So obviously in COVID secure times, we're moving away from buffets anyway. And then portion control. You know, don't over portion. Don't put too much food on people's plates. You know, consider having a hungry plate and a less hungry plate for people who might want to eat a little bit less and those who might want to eat a little bit more. There's loads, and we've got loads in, you know, when Proceed releases, and it's all available.
tune into
Oh, I
context.
love the sound of that. I
Put a
love the
little
sound of
flog
that.
there, but there's going to be loads and loads of things that you can do. I mean, this is what I mean about there's so much that we can do before you even have to touch the budget. Do you know what I mean? Like, go plant-based, guys. You know, sorry for all the diehard meters out there, but it is the way forward, I'm afraid.
There was just one last comment I was going to pick up from Jan. She just said younger people are maybe more aware, but maybe it gets forgotten how sustainable we were years ago. Milk bottles were made of glass, washed and collected for recycling. You returned pop bottles, she called them, for 5p.
Yeah.
Chips and newspaper, paper bags as opposed to plastic. And actually, if you think about it, we did a lot better then, perhaps.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about what did we do before that worked, you know, bringing the past into the future. You know, it's only in the last 50 years that we've really, really screwed things up. And it's a convenience generation kind of thing. And in convenience is beautiful. It's great to have everything on hand as and when you need it. I'm hungry, I'll eat something now. I'll pick something up in the shop. You know, my food stays fresher for longer because it comes in a plastic bag. Like, convenience is great, but we've just gone a bit mad as a society.
We went too far.
We've just gone too far. So what worked before, you know, there's loads that worked before. Let's bring it all back. It's only I blame my mum and my dad. You guys can all blame your mum and dad as well if you like. It's their fault. I blame them for everything.
One more comment on YouTube from Alan Green. Thanks, Alan, regarding food. He's based in Iberia. We have 2 charities in Iberia that work with us on our events, and it's been a great success, and clients are thrilled and agree. No buffets. So that's good. I know there are some firms as well, aren't there, that will reuse and recycle additional food from conferences and things like that as well.
Yep. If you're in London, City Harvest, obviously you've got Olio, Fair Share, I think is a great organisation. And just in terms of going plant-based, that is the future, but also it makes sense, you know, talking about regionality as well. You know, if you can get really good quality pasture-fed beef or pork or, you know, lamb, whatever it is in the region that you're in, it's not about saying, right, that's it, we're never going to eat a fish again, but it's about making sensible choices, smart choices, reducing that should be an add-on rather than a main feature, as it were. So so what I'll do is and at the end we're coming to the end of the show, but afterwards I'll get some of these links from you, and we'll post them up in the wrap up for people to check out, and some of the things we've talked about. But thank you for being a wonderful guest. It's been really enlightening, and I know the people who've watched it have really enjoyed it, and I know that plenty will come back and watch it as well. It's been really fantastic.
We'll just take the final opportunity, Callum, to stick the graphic up on the screen that says, for more information about how Isla can support your transition to sustainable events, visit www.weareisla.co.uk. It's on the screen right now. Thank you very much, Anna. It's been a pleasure having you on. This is a conversation that could have gone for ages.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. Brilliant to join you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look, Dom, I've even got, like, you know, water bottle reusable.
Do you know what? I'm actually really annoyed with myself because for the last 2-3 weeks, actually, I've made a point of carrying around my my reusable water bottle, and I've just looked to my left and I've got a piece of plastic in front of me, so I'm kicking myself that I can't demonstrate my. I know.
Wash your mouth.
I can't demonstrate my eco credentials live on camera right now, but I'll fix that for next week.
Okay, guys. So we're coming to that part of the show where we're just kind of wrapping it up. Big thanks to Anna. That was really, really fantastic. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. And I hope, please tell your friends and share this conversation. It's on YouTube and it's on the Facebook group. So, you know, people can watch it afterwards as well and join in the conversation. And we'll post up a wrap up as well with Anna's contact details and some of the things that we talked about as well. So if Callum's ready, I think we have got a weekly lowdown, a very special one from me and Martin last week. That was we did from Chelsea Football Ground. So over to you, Callum. Cue the lowdown.
One Voice and how that campaign, or rather the coalition, is going to evolve in the future and what it means. We also discussed attendee anxiety and dealing with that, and obviously we want to make sure people are safe, so we've talked about things like COVID status certification and so on. And then we've also talked about hybrid events as well. You know, Tracy Halliwell from London and Partners explained a little bit about Let's Do London, the Mayor's new campaign, and what that might mean for the city. But broadly, there's an appetite for hybrid events, and crucially, it seems that venues in the city are actually investing and have the right tech to be able to handle it.
And it was interesting because we had people on the panel from all aspects of the industry, and it was just really good to see the appetite for all the people who were there as well, you know, to come out and see this event again as well. So,
I mean, I just wanted to flag up a different event that I wanted people to be aware of. There's a couple of different things. First of all, this week is the Event Production Show, which is a mass media event taking place at Farnborough on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So if you haven't registered if you're in the southeast or coming from far wherever, please do sign up and support that. It is for everybody, so we want to get as many people as we legally can into the venue. It's going to be great, some great stuff there. And I also want to just throw back to last week when I was in Wales for the Welsh Government's pilot event. The situation in England and Scotland we know about, but Wales has sort of been a bit left behind. So there's a review on conference news and exhibition news. I ask everyone to just give that a quick read, because Wales doesn't have a restart date or a roadmap plan at the moment, and they're worried they're going to get left behind. So if you've got an event planned in Wales, don't give up on them just yet. Speak to your venue. The situation's always evolving, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll have some better news.
Fantastic, Marty. So guys, what we might do is clip on the end of this me sticking one in the top corner against the Chelsea goalkeeper as a Liverpool fan.
He won't shut up about that.
But I won't. But one thing we definitely won't show is the shot where I went on my backside. So that's been the weekly lowdown. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me as well.
See you later.
For anyone that missed the first 10-15 seconds of that video, I do apologise. There appears to have been a little problem. I will get Neil to repost that video just in case anyone missed it. I also want him to post the little clip of him taking the penalty, which I've seen elsewhere on Facebook, where, well, let's just say it was a bit of a beaut, Neil.
Well, that's just what I do, Dom, every day. It's just normal. Standard day for me. Sticking it in the top bin.
It must have felt good though, wasn't it?
Oh my God. I was so tempted to put my Liverpool shirt on underneath, but never mind. Anyway, thanks for that. Big thanks to Marty and Mash Media. A great team up we've got with them, doing all kind of positive news with the weekly lowdown. So we're just going to move on to quickly. Dom, how do you feel, Dom? First show back?
It's so nice to be back. It's really nice to be back and to be doing something like this again and sitting in the studio, which finally got finished while I was taking the downtime. And it's really nice to be back and to see people commenting. And I've had a couple of private messages as well from people. So it's really lovely. Thanks for having me back. And I'm looking forward to the rest of this season.
Yeah, well,
speaking of good stuff going on.
We've got some good stuff going on. Callum's going to just run the what's coming soon. So we've got next week. We've got a fantastic show. We've got Duncan Custerson from Convex giving us an exhibition masterclass. So that's going to be not only about being an exhibitor, but also attending. You know, the kind of things you can do and what you should be doing. Really topical with Convex coming up. Fingers crossed, everything doesn't get cancelled. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Duncan's a great guy as well. Then we've got an onboarding webinar with Di on the 10th of June, which is free for anybody who's just joined the group and wants to know a bit more about getting started. They're always really funny. You get the chance to meet Di. She doesn't stop laughing. Then you've got the 15th of June. We've got COVID Secure Events Masterclass with Sarah from Bright Space Events. That's going to be really good as well. Particularly by that point, we should probably know where we are and what we can do as well. So that'll be a really interesting show. I guess Sarah, there's my doorbell just gone. I guess Sarah's got to just adapt to that, to the things that she's going to get. So that should be good. Then we've got a Boost Your Reputation with Superstars webinar. This show was sponsored by the Delegate Wranglers Superstars. So we're going to run we're going to run a video for that, I think, in a sec. Is that right, Dom? Our sponsored video.
I'm
or maybe not.
So.
Okay, well, we'll do it
no,
next
he's
week.
Good. No, he's. I'm joking, Neil. He has it ready.
He has it ready. Okay, and then this is a big one. So live from Confex, we are going to be doing this show live from Confex. Dom, have you got your dance routine worked out yet?
I have, and I'm bringing in my daughter as social media guru for all of the TikToks that you and I are going to be doing while we're there.
Dom is going to be presenting the show by the medium of interpretive dance. It's going to be really funny.
That's exactly how I'm going to do it. You've absolutely nailed it. No, but seriously, that's a really big deal for us to, for you to have organised and for us to have been allowed to do this show from the main keynote stage at Confex. Assuming all goes according to plan on day one is a really big deal, and it will be great.
And I think what we're going to be doing is talking to a couple of Delegate Wrangler members on there about the future of the events industry, about not just getting back, but moving forward, and how do we change and how do we adapt and what can we learn? Things like what Anna's been talking about today. So stuff like that as well. Yeah, so absolutely. That should be really good. So we're just going to end this. Before we end the show, we're just going to run the sponsors video if we've got it ready. And just ready. To give you guys a bit more information about the DW Superstars. There you have it, guys. That's how you join the DW Superstars. Drop me a line or just go to our website and you'll see the Join Now button for more information on how you can boost your reputation with the Delegate Wrangler Superstars. Absolutely. So, Dom, I think that's it. Quite good time.
That is absolutely it. And I'm going to make a point of pointing this out, but I no longer produce this show at all. It's all done by Callum, who's sitting in the control room over here. He's literally given me one button to push. And when I push that, that's going to play our outro music. So I'll play that now. That's the extent of my production capabilities from this point onwards. I will just say thank you very much to Neil for having me back. I'm very much looking forward to the rest of this season. Thanks for your comments, thanks for your personal comments, and I look forward to seeing you all personally very soon.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks Dom, great job. Thanks Callum. Thanks Event Case as well for also registration and everything they do for us. And you guys, Dom at Stream, fantastic job. And especially to Anna and all you guys for watching as well. Have a lovely day and a lovely week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you guys. See ya.